Money isn't math. And I know that's going to be a strange thing to hear from someone with an accounting and finance background. But after 20 years of sitting across the table from real people and real numbers, I believe it now more than ever. Money is an emotion with a bunch of numbers attached. And here's the part that I want you to hold on to, though. That's not a reason to throw out the math. It's a reason to finish it. Because most people were taught a version of the math that leaves out half of the equation. And today, I'm going to give you the other half, the part that you can actually run on paper before your next big money decision. Let's start with the thing that doesn't make sense on paper. The payment fits, the budget balances, the income went up, and you still feel behind. It isn't you being bad with money. It's a signal that the math you were handed was incomplete. The math you were taught counts income, expenses, interest, savings, and it's all real. And it's all necessary. If the numbers don't work, they don't work. And no amount of feelings fixes the payment that you can't make. But a number can be accurate and still be incomplete. And nobody ever taught you how to measure that second cost. So you feel it. You just can't see it. That's what we're going to fix. Here's what I think. And I'll say it plainly, because most of the finance world won't. Can I afford it? Is the wrong question. It's not a bad question. It's just nowhere near enough. Can I afford it? Only ask whether the bank account can survive the purchase. It never asks whether you can. So here's the better one. Not can I afford it, but what does it cost me to keep on affording it? Does buying this house mean I'm working until 65 or later, whether I want to or not? Does it mean the next 10 years of raises are spent before they even show up? That's the real price tag. Before a major decision, you run 2 columns, not 1. The first column is the money math, and you already know those. That's the budgeting, the payment, the rate, the balance. Run it, because it matters. The second column, that's the part that nobody taught you to calculate. And here's the trick that makes it work. You have to put a real cost to each one of these things in this list. 6 things go into that second column: money, time, your health, being present, your identity, and having room to breathe. Let me show you how to actually price them. Money is the easy one. It's the dollars. You already do this. Time. Don't leave this one vague. Convert it. If a decision costs you 10 hours a week, that's about 500 hours a year. Put a number on an hour of your life. Now you have a second price tag sitting right next to the dollar one. And it's usually the bigger number. Health. This is the real cost, not a metaphor. Money stress shows up in your sleep, your blood pressure, and the patience you don't have left for the people you love. If a decision keeps you up at night, that's a health expense. Write it down. Being present. Ask who gets less of you because this decision gets more of you. The kid, the partner, the friend who you keep meaning to call. Identity. Ask who you have to become to keep this decision working. Sometimes the answer is someone you don't actually want to be. Room to breathe. Ask, if life changes, do I actually have any room? Or is every dollar already promised somewhere? And this one has a real number too. I'll give that one to you in a second. That's the human equation. You're not doing this to make money more complicated. You're doing it to make the decision honest. Because here's the thing. If you don't name what a decision really cost you, you'll pay it anyway. You just won't know you agreed to it. I'm actually curious about this. When you think about big money decisions you've made, which cost did you underestimate the most? Drop that in the comments if you're willing, because I think those answers could help other people see the cost they haven't been naming yet. And honestly, this is where the real conversation about personal finance happens. Not just what something costs on paper. What keeps costing after that decision is made. That last variable, the room to breathe, is the one I want to camp out on for a second. The single most important number in your financial life is not your net worth. It's not your salary, it's your runway. And I mean that a way that a pilot means it. A plane needs enough runway in front of it or it never leaves the ground, no matter how strong the engine is. Your money runway is the same thing. It's how many months you could survive with no income coming in. It's the room you need to actually take off. That's the number that decides whether you make your choices from freedom or from fear. And the data says most people are running on almost none. The Federal Reserve's most recent survey found that only about half of adults have 3 months of expenses set aside. And only 63% could cover a surprise $400 expense with cash. Think about what $400 even is now. The average car repair last year was over $800. So when more than a third of people couldn't absorb that without borrowing, that's not a budgeting failure, that's a runway failure. And here's why it touches everything else. When you have no runway, fear makes your decisions for you. You can't leave the job. You can't say no, because no feels like a risk you can't take. Runway is the thing that gives you room to breathe. It's what buys your choices back. 3 to 6 months of just your essentials. Not because it earns you anything, because it hands you back the one thing a spreadsheet can't: the ability to choose. Here's another one I'll say plainly, because almost nobody does. A raise is one of the most financially dangerous things that can happen to you. And I know that sounds backwards, but stay with me. When a raise comes, it feels like proof. Like someone finally saw you. And within a few months, your life quietly expands to swallow it. A slightly nicer car, a slightly bigger place, a few more subscriptions. That's lifestyle creep. And it's almost invisible while it's happening. The income went up, the spending went up to match, and you're right back where you started, except now you have less room to breathe, not more. So here's what I'd tell a friend the day a raise hits. Treat it like a test, not a trophy. Before your lifestyle gets a vote, move most of that raise somewhere it can't casually be spent. Towards the runway, towards the goal. Let your life feel a little of it, not all of it. Because a higher income that comes with less freedom isn't a raise. It's just a more expensive version of being behind. Let me run one real decision through this, because it's the one that traps most good people. The house. A house is never just a house. It's safety. It's permanence. It's pride. That feeling that you finally arrived. And that's all real. But here's where it goes sideways. When you buy, the bank hands you a number. The most they'll approve. That number even has a name. It's your debt to income limit, which is just the most they'll let you borrow against what you earn. And most people treat that number like a target instead of a ceiling. They stretch right up to the top of it. And here's the position I'll stake. Being house poor is the most respectable way to be broke. Living paycheck to paycheck inside a house you own is still living paycheck to paycheck. The payment clearing every month doesn't mean it's working. It just means the bank account is still cooperating. So before the house, you run both columns. Does this house give your family more of you? Or does the payment quietly take you away from them? Is the number low enough that one bad month doesn't sink the whole thing? Buy the house that leaves room for your life, not the one that becomes your life. So here's what you actually do with all of this. Before your next big money decision, run the 2 columns, money math on one side, the human equation on the other, on paper, not in your head. Because in your head, the loud number always wins. Then ask the question most people skip. What emotion am I trying to solve with this? Sometimes the house is solving for safety. Sometimes the raise is solving for worth. Sometimes the whole purchase is solving for a feeling that money was never going to fix. That question will make you uncomfortable. Good. The useful ones usually do, because emotion isn't the enemy of a smart money decision. Unexamined emotion is. Name it, and you get to make the call. Don't, and the feeling makes it for you. So you did the math right, and you still feel behind, because the math you were taught left you out of it. It counted the payment. It never counted the life. The full calculation puts you back in. Money, time, health, being present, identity, and having room to breathe. And here's the version of wealth I actually believe in. A wealthy life isn't just one where the numbers work. It's one where the numbers serve the person instead of slowly consuming them. More money can help. It buys options. It buys safety. And I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't matter. But the point was never just to have more of it. The point was to build a life you don't have to recover from. Think about what retirement is even supposed to be. It's the part where you finally get to exhale and enjoy what you built, not the thing you collapse into because you've got nothing else to give. There's a real difference in between retiring into a life you actually want and retiring because you're too worn down to keep going. And once you start counting the whole equation, you notice something. The decisions were never separate. The house, the car, the job, the raise, they were all answering one quiet question. What life am I actually funding? Zoom out and take a look. Because sometimes the danger isn't one bad decision. It's 100 reasonable ones all pointing the wrong way. Money isn't math. It's emotion with a whole bunch of numbers attached.